It started with just 2 words, not a quote, not a speech, not even a post, just a nickname. And somehow, those 2 words were enough to turn one of Hollywood's most talked about actresses into the center of a political storm she never asked to be part of. Because almost overnight, Sydney Sweeney wasn't being discussed for her performances or upcoming projects anymore. She was being labeled, debated, analyzed, and placed into a narrative she never publicly created. The internet had decided she stood for something she never actually said, and once that decision was made, there was no slowing it down. For a long time, Sydney existed in a very specific space online. She was seen as talented, commercially powerful, and carefully private. She didn't rant, she didn't preach, and she didn't turn interviews into political platforms. In another era, that would have been normal. Today, that kind of silence makes people uneasy. Then the phrase started popping up in comment sections, first as a joke, then as a jab, and eventually as something people treated like fact. MAGA Barbie. At first, it felt like internet shock humor, the kind of nickname designed to provoke reactions. But it didn't stay small. It spread across platforms, turned into memes, and suddenly people weren't asking where it came from. They were arguing over what it meant. The nickname didn't appear out of nowhere. It followed a fashion campaign that most people never expected to spark controversy at all. On paper, the American Eagle ad was simple branding, clean visuals, classic styling, and a bit of wordplay involving jeans. That should have been the end of it. But online, interpretations exploded. Some viewers claimed the wordplay hinted at something deeper. Others said the outrage was forced and completely overanalyzed. A few suggested it leaned into aesthetics that felt politically charged, even if that wasn't the intent. None of these claims were confirmed, but confirmation wasn't really the point. Once people start searching for symbolism, they tend to find it everywhere. From there, the internet did what it always does. Old photos resurfaced, social media follows were dissected, voter records were discussed with little context and a lot of assumption. Rumors began circulating, framed as patterns, and patterns were treated like proof. Silence stopped being neutral and started being suspicious. Some people argued that if she wasn't denying anything, that must mean something. Others pushed back, saying privacy isn't an admission. But nuance doesn't travel far online, and by that point, the narrative had already taken off on its own. Eventually, Sydney addressed it, but not in the way many people expected. There was no long explanation, no emotional response, and no political declaration. Instead, she made it clear that she knows who she is and what she stands for, regardless of what people project onto her. What stood out most wasn't what she said, but what she refused to do. She didn't confirm labels, she didn't deny rumors line by line, and she didn't let the internet corner her into a position she never chose. Ironically, that restraint only added fuel to the discussion. Some praised her for not feeding the chaos, while others accused her of dodging the issue altogether.
That reaction highlights a much bigger problem in celebrity culture. There's an unspoken rule in Hollywood that everyone understands. Politics are a no-win situation. Speak out and you alienate half your audience. Stay quiet and people decide your beliefs for you. Female celebrities in particular face this pressure at a higher level. Their appearance, branding, and silence are all treated as statements whether they intend them to be or not. At some point, they stop being individuals and start being symbols, often without their consent. In today's internet culture, neutrality is almost treated like a provocation. Fans expect clarity, critics expect confirmation, and social media thrives on certainty even when none exists. In this case, speculation gained momentum. Momentum replaced evidence, and evidence was never really required. The conversation stopped being about facts and became about perception, and perception moves faster than truth ever could. By the time the debate reached its peak, it wasn't really about Sydney Sweeney anymore. It was about how quickly the internet assigns identities, how branding choices get politicized, and how aesthetics alone can spark ideological battles. One nickname reshaped how millions of people viewed someone who never asked to represent anything beyond her work. And once a label sticks, it's almost impossible to remove, even if it's inaccurate, incomplete, or unfair. At the center of all this is a simple reality. Sydney Sweeney never publicly claimed a political identity. She didn't campaign, endorse, or make herself a symbol. That role was assigned to her. And whether people defend her or criticize her, the pattern remains the same. The internet decided first and context came later. So the real question isn't whether the nickname is accurate, it's when we started believing we truly know someone just because a story went viral. Because once that line disappears, anyone can become anything. All it takes is a rumor, a headline, or two words that refuse to go away. If you want more stories where internet narratives collide with celebrity reality, make sure to subscribe, because this won't be the last time a public image gets rewritten overnight. And the next one might be even messier.